not in my shower. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I did tell Liam, by the way. I did tell Liam. I didn't pretend to, you know.
Were you told him that I would be taking it? No, you
No,
didn't.
no, but I'm sure he's thrilled. I'm sure he's thrilled.
Good. Well, if everyone's set up. Oh, wait. Getting there? That's alright, that's alright. All good.
I think so.
Fantastic. Okay, good to go. 10, 15 minutes or so. Like, put your hands up. You've got a question, we'll throw to you, and well, I guess we'll start with.
So, a few things. I probably got to just get out of the way. A friend, his name is Don Pedro. I think you might remember him as Deep Dive Live. He says hello.
Hi.
And my first question for you is for yourself.
Yes.
What was it like transitioning between doing TV and then going into video games?
Very pleasant. I mean, obviously it's always a privilege and honor to get any acting work in any medium, but I enjoyed it especially because it's quick. There's no lighting adjustments or setups in between scenes or indeed shots. So that was fun. It's kind of like a throwback to playing in the sandpit as a child, because it's all imaginary, everything. I mean, it's informed imagination because the director and the cinematics people are there and they're advising you as to what your surroundings are. But it's kind of fun to do the whole thing, in an imaginary garden. So that's really fun. So it's very fast. You have to kind of be on your feet and on your words because there's no rest period really. But the little differences were I found fun. Rather than taking first positions, you have to do a T pose. You have to stick your hands out to the sides, and of course you're wearing the little all-in-one sort of onesie with miniature disco balls all over you, and it's also interesting. Just as I say, like just playing it as if you're a kid. You're not as mindful of where the lens is. There were 2 cameras on us as a sort of a reference for them, but also it was a nice reference for us as well, because you kind of do pitch your performance to favour the shot that the director has in mind. So there are a lot of elements which are just slightly different, which I find kind of enjoyable.
Getting the cameras that were on the face at all times.
Yes, that's true.
The
that was probably the toughest adjustment. You're absolutely right. You've got a head-mounted camera, so you kind of have to just adjust your face so you can still catch their eyes rather than have this obstruction. But it's you get used to it remarkably quickly.
Yes, it vanishes like your nose. Apparently, we can all see our noses, but we never do.
Now all I can see is my nose.
Sorry.
So just briefly, I understand that I don't want to take much more of everyone's time. What was your favorite motion capture for both of you? Motion to capture, I guess.
Which was your favorite motion to capture? I can think of a very surreal one, which was not pleasant but interesting. Was where we were both in the same scene, but we were in a parallel world.
Yes, the videotape.
Actually, I was thinking of yes, you're right. So
side by side.
Yeah, well,
You were in one.
I was killing you and you were being killed.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. Or at least our characters were.
Yeah.
In one iteration of this game.
What were you thinking about? There's another one.
No, that's the one. That was interesting because you were reacting to something I was doing, which you could sort of only see out of your peripheral vision, and by the same token, I was trying to match your performance or be in sync with it. That was challenging.
I enjoyed the elevator chase sequence because it was like a little bit of a puzzle piece. I was 7 months pregnant, and I was wearing these 12-centimeter heels, and so everybody was like, "Okay, for safety reasons, you don't run in these." So we did we chopped it apart. So I ran like the last 3 meters, so I did run a little bit. Ran like 3 meters up until like this, and then we played that out. And then we brought in Deborah Wild.
Yeah, we only have the finest,
the most glamorous stunt person.
Body of a stunt person.
And she did the running like up until that moment, and I stood to the side with my face camera and did this. So that was like a puzzle piece that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did also a very, very cool lion figure.
I did do that. Oh, no, but see, okay, I keep bringing this up. I'm going to bring it up one more time.
Bring it up.
I did the mannequin, and the mannequin introduction scene, I started lying on my back underneath like a semi-table, and then I went up into like the wheel, like the yoga wheel, and then I flipped up like this, and I stumbled around, and then I was ready, and I was like, the world will be amazed when they find out that I did this. And they didn't use it. So I did it for nothing, and there's no proof. Nobody took a video or anything. So maybe I imagined it. You were there.
I was there.
Yeah.
You were super impressive. Your
Thank you.
physical theatre is remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah, it took longer to get my pyramid head acting done, but yeah. So yeah, no, we had all of it was great though. It was it was a real mixed bag of stuff that we have to do over the course of 73 cutscenes and a bunch of other bits.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Okay, Max.
Hi there.
Hi.
So, just speaking to, obviously, this is a remake of the original Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 2 itself comes up plenty in video game communities in regards to a wider discussion around whether or not limitations in video games are important, and especially with the remake, there was a lot of discussion around, like, don't remake Silent Hill 2, the original game's so good with its limitations and not being able to see off into the distance, but one thing specifically as well people love to bring up is the acting in the original Silent Hill 2, and how the line delivery and the way it's performed is very different. It's very kind of notably stilted, and it's very off, not in a this is bad acting sort of way, but in a this is unusual acting, which kind of lends credence to the tone and atmosphere of the game. And I was wondering, when it came to the remake, did you guys find yourself taking any reference from the way that the original game was acted and the way those characters were portrayed originally? Or did you find yourselves really just trying to, do something new and kind of create an entirely new performance for the remake?
I think you should answer this.
I think I did so more than Luke.
Ooh.
Because
I think in a good way.
I
think what you've said is a terrific question and very well phrased and I don't wish to speak. I feel like there was a beauty to that. And sometimes I forget the expression. Something is the mother of all invention. But there was something about the limitations. A bit like, I'm going to really age myself, that Blackadder Goes Forth, they didn't have the money to finish it, so they have a beautiful fade out sequence over a poppy field, and it's one of the most elegiac, incredible endings to a sitcom, essentially, and it was really born out of necessity, and I think there were certain limitations with the fog and what have you, and even maybe the actors did not have as much context, as much information as we did going into it, and it created something rather, I don't want to say simple or naive, but it's sort of something surreal, something a little just off real, which has its own innate charm, which no one wanted to mess with, least of all you, and so you did use it I believe, as a fairly strong reference, and I think you should speak about that.
Well, I think, like, when I say I think I did so more than Luke, that's not to say either approach is right. I also, I feel like we just both showed up and we did what we thought was best for the characters that we were portraying. And for me, that meant trying to hold on to the, offness of it a little bit more. And you were grounding it, and the results speak for themselves. What you did was really right for it.
It felt like, as playing it, I was aware of the original, of course. I hadn't played the original. I'd seen a lot of clips, sound bites, and video clips from it, and of it, and I was interested in it, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of wanted to plow my own field, make it my own, and the character's essentially, without being too reductive, it's a fairly reactive character. He's going on an odyssey, on a mission, on a quest, but he doesn't have any answers, and he meets these interesting and slightly surreal characters along the way. And I thought it was interesting to try to make sense of the unimaginable and something you simply cannot make sense of. So it's sort of a losing battle from the beginning. In order to achieve that sense of bewilderment, I wanted to engage with each of these interesting characters in as real a way as possible. So I went for the reality. Mm-hmm. You guys, to forgive me, to an extent, went for the surreality of it. I think the clash paradoxically works quite well.
And I think it makes sense that the central character that we are experiencing it through is more grounded, and the other ones let themselves go into the surreal more.
The ending, I think, sort of, I don't know, it seems to apparently it works, which is music to our ears, but the very fact that I seem to be anchored and present and trying to make sense of it, only to discover that I am perhaps the oddest feature of the whole thing, because everything is a projection of his imagination, if you like. It's one way of interpreting it anyway. So yeah, I thought the clash of styles was interesting. I mean, you are a fantastic actor, and so it was always, and everybody, Gianna Scott, the whole gang, and so it was, there was still always a truth. There was always a kernel of absolute human truth in everybody's eyes, but I was going for a more conventional sort of reality, I guess. And somehow that disconnect works out as quite a disturbing new reality. If that answers your question.
That brilliantly answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Great.
No, you go first.
We've got time for maybe a couple more.
Okay,
Yeah, please.
this is a question specifically for Luke. Obviously, your career has flourished here in the UK, in the US, and Canada. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about the different industries and the plus and minuses of each.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can. As far as my experience of it all goes, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work here in the UK and in Canada and in America. Most of the work that I've done for America has actually ended up in Europe or South Africa or somewhere else. It's a mixed bag. I mean, essentially and even across mediums, you're always doing the same job in effect, even though they're always different characters. None are better or worse. There are subtle differences. Unions are stronger in certain countries. When I worked in France, the union is incredibly strong. In Canada, the crew unions are incredibly strong. I'm learning in recent months and years, which is a really good thing. And sometimes everyone's frustrated when they can't work. If it's the American Union has, whether it's the Writers Guild or the Screen Actors Guild or whoever, it's tough, but it's all it's all on it all goes in a very good direction. Ultimately, it's to preserve people, especially in this new age of AI and other potential dangers and threats to creativity. So I think everyone's sort of on the same page. The hours can be longer in Canada, but then the unions are strong, so people are getting paid, and the crew certainly double time, triple time, and this kind of thing. So it's usually about the working conditions, but essentially across the board, as far as I am concerned, everyone is, when you get on the studio floor, on the shop floor, everyone is trying to do the very best that they can possibly do. And I was thinking about this the other day, because when people get stressed and a bit fraught and tense, my experience is almost always because everyone's trying to do their best work, despite the elements. It might be the weather, or it might be not quite enough shooting hours to achieve ambitious projects. So, but yeah, I've been very blessed and fortunate. My personal niche, I think, is in England I play Americans, and in America I play Brits, and in Canada I play either, but mostly Americans and Canadians, which is strange but wonderful. Lucky to be able to access that. But yeah, what about you? What do you think about that? I mean, it's different. You have a very interesting and different perspective, I'm sure, coming from Iceland.
I think yes, I agree with the like you're talking about the work frame being very different when it comes to just specifics about how long the days can be and how risky you can be. Like the world in Iceland. There's like in Iceland, we can be much more cowboyish about everything and just take risks that are not an option in the UK. But they've all got their upsides and all got their downsides. I think for me, there's the similarities are everywhere. There's much fewer things that I find different beyond that between different industries. I think the world's grown to be quite much of a oneness in that respect.
There are some different names for things. I find assistant directors sometimes have alternate names, but honestly, it's as you say, we're all trying to do the same thing.
And the people who wind up in these industries tend to be people I like. Like there's a character type who's like, we're gonna make this wild thing happen. And yes, I don't sleep. And yes, I'm a little bit angry about that. And yes, we eat bad food sometimes. And we are cold and wet for days upon days upon days, but I care and I'm gonna make this happen.
And it's a real treat, and it's such a precarious industry, certainly for actors anyway, and so when we get the chance to do it, you kind of weather anything, and we're in the trenches together. I will say, and I don't think this is quite right. I haven't. This is my first motion capture game that I have done, but I will say that on behalf of motion capture and voice actors, the pay structure is very different, as I'm sure you've heard before. I think I heard Neil Newbon talking about it, but it's quite different. And yet it's the same craft. So maybe one day, those incredible actors who bring these things to life will get the recognition, because it's a big business. Video games are it seems a massive industry, but it is fantastic to work in. Like it's a real treat.
I think it's going to keep growing, and I think more and more people are going to understand the narrative capabilities of video games. And I think that's very exciting. Yeah,
it's a new narrative form, and it affords. I noticed that for me, sort of a paradox is that video games are incredibly cinematic, whereas a lot of movies now are sort of going for a shortcut and relying on AI, relying on CGI, and whereas and of course video games do rely on computer generated graphics, but it's the language, the visual language that they use in some of these cutscenes is just phenomenal and really takes your breath away. So I think it's very exciting to work in.
Great. Sorry, I'm afraid that's going to be able to call it there.
Oh, sorry.
Run out of time.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and we do live stream a lot on Twitch. It would be super helpful if you do share the video. And as always, and remember, I hope you guys have a very wonderful and happy Faz day. See you next video, everyone.